Thank you for joining NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. In the news today, Seibeb pushes lithium mining moratorium. Nangolo Mbumba says young people will never win elections. Namibia extends a helping hand to Malawi. I am Ashwin Berry and this is NMH at 1. Heading into the midday news update, Judge David Muntsu is expected to deliver his verdict on Fishshot accused Tamson Fiti Hatukelipi's application for leave to appeal on 26 April. If Muntsu rules in Hatukelipi's favor, he will be able to appeal to the Supreme Court against the court's decision to refuse him bail. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news coming up after the break.
My.NA Property Show provides viewers with the best in-class content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest property-related products and services. If you would like to feature your brand or your campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Properties, more than just a roof over your head.
Looking at today's visual news, Namibia, as the chair of the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security, is currently hosting the regional meeting on preventing radicalization, violent extremism and recruitment at Atlantic Hotel in Walvis Bay. Speaking at the event, the Erongo Regional Governor Nevo Andre said the main objective of this workshop is, amongst others, to equip and enhance knowledge among heads of corrections, prisons, penitentiary services and other participants on preventing radicalization.
The Regional Review brings you news, views, and interviews from NMH correspondents from across the country. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact regional@synergy.com.na.
Violent extremists and violence in prison are serious national security threats that damage any nation's generation to generation. We must therefore prevent it, because no one is born a violent extremist, but influenced by the environment we find ourselves in. Correctional prisons or penitentiary facilities play a very important function in our society. For me, the most important of all functions is to rehabilitate the inmates so that we make the world a better place for everyone to live in. Those that are violent extremists can still change to contribute meaningfully in our society, and it is therefore important that our correctional prisons and penitentiary facilities are not used to produce violent extremists, but to produce productive members of our communities. I'm delighted that the heads of corrections, prisons, and penitentiary services from SADC countries are gathered here in Walvis to discuss this pertinent topic.
We'll be starting with Namibian Sun's front page as we head into the newspaper review. The Namibian Sun's front page reports that the country's largest lender to farmers is under siege from loan beneficiaries, especially those under the Affirmative Action Loan Scheme, who feel they are unfairly targeted when it comes to farm repossessions. Under the AALS, which is administered by Agribank, a total of 648 loans were granted to the tune of 776.4 million Namibian dollars. The total area of land acquired under the scheme totals more than 3.4 million hectares. Agribank is, however, adamant that weeding out persistent defaulters is critical for its existence, and it would therefore treat all clients equally. The bank is currently litigating a number of cases in court as it seeks the judiciary's blessing to repossess farms owned by individuals who defaulted on their loans, a move that does not sit well with farmers. On page 3, last week, the Namibia Institute of Public Administration and Management and the Okakarara Town Council signed a memorandum of understanding to share resources. NIPAM's acting executive director, Sankwasa Mobita, said NIPAM identified the Town Council as a strategic partner in achieving its objectives. The MOU formalizes the collaborative working relationship between two public institutions in multiple areas to see both institutions achieve their goals while sharing knowledge and resources. The MOU aims to create consultancy and training opportunities to capacitate Okakarara Town Council employees, including councillors. Mobita said the goal of both the institutions is to deliver efficient services to the people of Okakarara. Moving over to Republicane, the paper informs that law enforcement officers in Namibia, as well as in Mozambique and Zambia, are more and more attuned to the illegal smuggling of, and among other things, abalone by their countries. This is because there is growing evidence that the same companies and individuals involved in this smuggling are also involved in the export of illegal wildlife products and other illegal activities. Moving on to page 3, the four men were arrested on Saturday afternoon at Seibeb after being found in possession of bags with stolen copper wires. The suspects were allegedly found by Rubicon security guard carrying bags. Upon search, the guard found copper wires in their bags and immediately notified the police, who acted upon and interviewed the suspects. Oshikoto Community Affairs Officer Inspector Ellen Nehale said the suspects were caught by a security guard who alerted the police. The Algemene Zeitung leads on the front with Landers People's Movement Party, led by its deputy leader, making allegations of corruption, bribery, and what happens to be illegal mining of lithium at Uis. And on page 3, the AZ is focusing on the Justice Department finally putting in place a proper witness and whistleblower protection program. It is to help police investigations from now on and give whistleblowers protection from prosecution. The Ombudsman is also to enjoy more freedom. We continue with the newspaper review after the break.
Sunset News is a daily news show focusing on national headlines as well as international news. If you'd like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact sunset@synergy.com.na. Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.
Continuing with the newspaper review, the Namibian newspaper reports that Vice President Nangolo Mbumba has accused the youth of forming political parties along tribal and regional lines, saying they will never win national elections to run the country. Mbumba said this while addressing a reunion of the Namibia Exile Kids Association, also known as NECA, at Oneuptwo Gonjamba in the Oshikoto region on Saturday. Mbumba also used the platform to announce his retirement as vice president without naming a specific date. "My days are numbered. I will not seek any government job. I have not campaigned for you to vote for me. So let NECA be the one to say yes. He told us first that he was going to retire." Mbumba said some young people have become tribalists while others form political parties along tribal lines. On page 3, lawyer Marin de Klerk, who is wanted in Namibia after he became entangled in the fish-rot fishing quotas fraud and corruption case, is now suing the Prosecutor General in an attempt to have a property preservation order of about 6.5 million Namibian dollars in 2 Namibian bank accounts set aside. In a case filed at the Windhoek High Court near the end of March, de Klerk is asking the court to set aside the Prevention of Organized Crime Act property preservation order over a bank account in the name of his former law firm de Klerk, Horn and Coetzee Incorporated. De Klerk is also asking the court to allow him to have a notice stating that he is opposing the making of an order for the forfeiture of the funds in the 2 accounts to the state. On to New Era. It is reported on page 1 that Landers People's Movement parliamentarian Henny Seibeb is pushing for the government to impose a moratorium on lithium mining to determine the value of the rare earth metal. He is also advocating the communities where the sought-after mineral is mined to become at least 60% shareholders of such mining activities. Seibeb tabled a motion on Thursday in the National Assembly following an uproar from the community of Uis in the Irongo region, who are of the opinion that mining activities have no benefit for them and instead threaten their livelihoods. On page 3, Cabinet has approved a donation of 1.86 million Namibian dollars to the Malawi government as humanitarian assistance to the victims of Tropical Cyclone Freddy, which ravaged the landlocked African country. International Relations Minister Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah told New Era that Namibia is simply playing her role in assisting its neighbors. When your neighbor is in trouble, you have to care. And that's why our government gave a token of donation to the victims in Malawi, she said. Namibia assisting Malawi does not mean all the needs in the country are met, the minister added. On to Market Watch. The painful move by the South African Reserve Bank to hike interest rates is crucial in strengthening the Rand-US dollar exchange rate. In an exclusive interview with Business 7, Simonis Storm economist Theo Klein said increasing interest rates encourage foreign investors to keep their money within South Africa and prevent outflows to maintain the value of the Rand. Namibia and South Africa import most of what is consumed, and a weak Rand-USD rate is inflationary, he said. A weak Rand-USD exchange rate makes imports expensive while exports become cheap. In addition, a strong Rand-USD exchange rate makes imports cheap, whereas exports become expensive. Now, according to the Namibia Statistics Agency, Namibia's import bill stood at 8.5 billion Namibian dollars in February, while export earnings came in at 8.1 billion, leading to a trade deficit of 412 million Namibian dollars. Johnson & Johnson to pay 162 billion rand to resolve all cancer lawsuits. More on this in economic news.
Chill Sessions is an entertainment show that brings you the latest hit, fashion, and entertainment news. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact chill at synergy.com.na. Chill Sessions, bringing art and entertainment to the people.
Heading into economic news, Johnson & Johnson said it agreed to pay 162 billion rand to resolve all cancer lawsuits tied to its talc-based powders and will make a fresh attempt to contain the liability within a bankruptcy filing by one of its units. The world's largest maker of healthcare products hopes to settle complaints from about 60,000 claimants and fund a trust set up in a U.S. bankruptcy court in Trenton, New Jersey, to cover future claims, the company said on Tuesday in a securities filing. J&J has already withdrawn its talc-based baby powder and others, including Shower to Shower, from the market. J&J's LTL management unit filed a new Chapter 11 case to provide a basis for the trust, which outlines terms for settling the decade-long litigation. An earlier filing, which didn't include the settlement, was rejected in January after an appeals court found J&J erred in using bankruptcy to block juries from hearing lawsuits and handing out damage awards. Let's head into the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar upped its value next to the US dollar and Chinese yuan, but is down next to the British pound and euro, trading at 20.10 next to the euro. All stocks on the screen right now managed to maintain their value, with Namibia Asset Management Limited on 0.68 points. Overall index closed on an uptick of 1.25%, whilst other stocks maintained their value. Looking at commodities, gold and zinc both made dips of 0.44% and 0.38% respectively, whilst copper made an upsurge of 0.20%. Kishishe survivors haunted by a nightmare of M23 occupation. Stay with NMH at 1 as we head into news from Africa.
Straight Talk is a debate competition for high school learners and a spelling competition for primary school learners, mostly focusing on current affairs among the youth. Contact Zone at synergy.com.na to share your products and services. Straight Talk. Don't raise your voice, improve your argument.
Let's get into the news stemming from the African continent at large. In Kishishe, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the M23 rebel group reportedly left the village in early April. Still, inhabitants are haunted by a massacre that was perpetrated between November 21 and 30, 2022, when the armed group controlled the area. A witness of the massacre of the Adventist church that will be named Michelle recounts the executions. The M23 said, "All the men who are in the church, you pretend to be displaced persons, but you are the rebels who shot at us." So they took all the men back to Mzembita's banana plantation. They said, "Sit here and put your feet in the hole, stand in a circle around the hole." And they started shooting them. And they started killing the others next to them when the first hole had been filled. Another witness says he was forced by the rebels to bury some of the dead, remembers how the bodies were made to disappear. The M23 used tree trunks, the ones we used to build our houses. They piled up a lot of tree trunks and put them on top of the people they had killed. When they finished putting everything in place, they took gasoline and poured it on top and then set it on fire. The UN Joint Human Rights Office reported that the rebels summarily executed at least 171 people in the localities of Bambo and Kishishe last November. A regional force has since been overseeing the withdrawal of rebel groups in the east of DRC. Last week, the East African forces announced they were in control of Bunagana, a strategic town in eastern DRC previously held by M23 rebels for more than 9 months. A teacher at the school that was used by the M23 rebels as a base says it is urgent for the state to provide support so that the children can get back to school. Today, children are misbehaving because they no longer go to school. Bite Getimana Sekabo Charles considered, "Our community does not have the means to rebuild the schools. It is only with the help of the government that we could rebuild the schools. Besides, it is their schools." DRC's Justice Minister urged last year the International Criminal Court to prioritize crimes committed in the East. The March 23 movement seized large swathes of territory in the region after re-emerging in late 2021. At least 2 people were killed by an explosion in the capital of Ethiopia's Amhara region, which has been convulsed by days of protests against integration of local security forces into the national police and army. Members of Amhara's local military and allied militias said they opposed the government's order to disband and join the federal army or police, sparking days of protests in several towns and cities across the region. On Monday, an explosion killed 2 people and injured several others in Bahir Dar, according to a police officer. It was not clear what caused the explosion or whether it was linked to the protests. Mitiku Tegne, acting medical director of the city's Addis Alem hospital, said 3 men watching football at a bar were killed and 15 injured in the incident. Gizachu Muline, spokesperson for the Amhara Regional Administration, and federal government spokesperson Legis Tulu did not immediately respond to requests for comment on the explosion. Banks, schools, and government offices were closed in another city in Amhara, Debre Behan, on Tuesday, following days of protests in the area against the government's move. Residents said they could hear the sounds of gunshots and heavy weapons on the outskirts of the city on Tuesday morning. Amhara politicians and activists have condemned the government order that requires local troops from each of Ethiopia's 11 regions, which enjoy a degree of autonomy, to integrate into the police or federal army. Stay with us as we head into international news, starting with Italy. The Italian Coast Guard is carrying out 2 large-scale operations to rescue around 1,200 migrants from overcrowded boats off the coast of Sicily. About 800 people are traveling on one of the fishing boats, while around 400 are on another. The country's Coast Guard has already rescued around 2,000 people in other operations since Friday. At least 2 people died during the weekend's boat crossings. German non-profit rescue ship said migrant arrivals to Italy have risen steeply compared with the same period last year, despite efforts by the right-wing coalition government to clamp down on irregular migration. The boat carrying 400 people, which is believed to have set out from Tobruk in Libya, was still without help late on Monday evening, according to an unofficial hotline for migrants in distress. Alarm phone, it said it had raised an urgent alarm with the authorities of Italy, Greece and Malta on Sunday. German non-governmental organization Sea-Watch International said 2 merchant vessels near one of the ships had been ordered not to help with rescue efforts by Malta while the boat was in Maltese waters. Instead, one of the ships had been allowed to supply it with fuel and water. The Maltese government has not commented on the matter. We will now be moving on to the United States, as the United States and the Philippines have begun their largest ever military drills, which will include a live fire exercise on a sunken ship in the South China Sea. More than 17,000 soldiers are taking part in the annual event known as Balikatan, with about 12,200 American troops, 5,400 members of the Philippines Armed Forces, as well as representatives from other countries, including Australia. Balikatan means shoulder to shoulder in Tagalog. The drills are scheduled to end on April 28. The Balikatan exercise enhances both the AFP and the United States Armed Forces tactics, techniques, and procedures across a wide range of military operations. AFP spokesperson Colonel Medel Aguila said in a statement released by the U.S. Embassy last week, "It increases our ability to work together effectively and efficiently in response to various crisis situations. Balikatan provides unparalleled opportunities to demonstrate the strength and readiness of the Philippine-U.S. security alliance." Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Huvane, Balikatan Combined Joint Information Director, said in a statement, adding that such activities were important investments in honing the ability of U.S. and Philippines forces to work together in a variety of military operations. The latest Balikatan exercises are getting underway as China concludes 3 days of military drills around Taiwan that the island's president described as a threat to regional security, and Japan said they were intimidation. All right, stay with us as we head into the local sports from Namibia after the break. This year's edition of the West Coast MTB Challenge and Trail Run did not disappoint. A new track record was established at this year's edition of the West Coast MTB Challenge and Trail Run, which forms part of the Gravel and Dirt Mountain Bike Marathon Series powered by Holland Namibia. The new champion, South African Alan Hatherley, pipped his Cannondale teammate Simon Andreasen from Denmark and Namibia's Alex Miller, who came in third. The Zone 6 beach volleyball tour, which took place over the Easter weekend, was a resounding success. Backed by a vibrant crowd and loud roars, the men from Botswana defeated Angola 2-0 in an exciting, closely contested final match at the competition, which took place at Mo Beach in Swakopmund. The Namibian Newspaper Cup football final in Oshoarongo ended with a 2-0 score, with Kavango West bagging the title after defeating Oshodonjupa. Kavango West walked away with $30,000 Namibian dollars, whereas Oshodonjupa took home $20,000 Namibian dollars. Pius Kapwita scored the 2 goals for Kavango West. Third place was bagged by Oshana when they defeated Hardap 2-1 and won $16,000. Let's head into the international sports. Al Nassr suffered a huge blow to their hopes of winning the Saudi Professional League after a goalless draw with lowly Al Fayha, and Cristiano Ronaldo left the pitch in anger after a frustrating performance on Sunday. The Confederation of African Football has opened the bidding process for the 2027 Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations hosting rights. CAF on Thursday sent a notice to the member associations to express their interest in hosting AFCON 2027, including the process that will be followed in the selection of the host country or countries. And the Nigerian-born fighter Israel Adesanya lost twice to Pereira in his kickboxing career and ceded his UFC middleweight belt to the Brazilian when they met again in MMA in November last year. But this time around, the last style bender claimed a spectacular second-round knockout to get the better of Poatan for the fourth time asking. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and your highlights follow after the break.
Sport Wrap is a daily show focusing on all sport news and current affairs. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact sportwrap@synergy.com.ma.
Thank you for watching NMH at 1. Let's head into the highlights from this afternoon's broadcast. In Kishishe, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the M23 rebel group reportedly left the village early April. Still, inhabitants are haunted by a massacre that was perpetrated between November 21 and 30, 2022. The Italian Coast Guard is carrying out 2 large-scale operations to rescue around 1,200 migrants from overcrowded boats off the coast of Sicily. And this year's edition of the West Coast Mountain Bike Challenge and Trail Run did not disappoint. A new track record was established at this year's edition of the challenge, which forms part of the Gravel and Dirt MTB Marathon Series powered by Holland Namibia. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa and the world, ranging from current affairs to economic news, sports and international headlines. That's it from us in studio. Have a great afternoon.